Welcome to the Contract CFO Show, your source for bullshit-free, real talk on finance and business. Here's your host, Michael Anthony.
Welcome back to the Contract CFO Show, the number one show for learning how to think like a boss and take control of your money. I am your host, Michael Anthony, and I help entrepreneurs discover their true self in order to create their ideal future. And today's show, I have with me a couple members. So let me change my view here. I have a couple members from the Kick-Ass crew, a couple kick-ass gals with me, Charity and Melinda. And cheers to you all. Cheers to you both. And guys, for those of you who watch, for those of you who listen, we're going to do the cheers to you. And that is a segment where we as entrepreneurs, as go-getters, as hustlers, we pause for even if it's a millisecond and we find something to celebrate, something to cheers, something to say, fuck yeah, I did it. And the reason we do that, and the reason I'm committed to having a cheers to you section on the show is because so often, like if we really are entrepreneurs, 99% of us, maybe even more, when we achieve something of success, we're already focused. Our vision has expanded. We've gone further and further. And so we don't stop to truly celebrate in the moment. And what that does is it robs gratitude from us. And it also, it gives us that feeling of being on a hamster wheel. And so we don't end up at any point truly enjoying our journey. And at the end of the day, the journey is what matters. Like, the goalposts will always, hopefully they'll always move. We'll always be pursuing something new, something quote unquote better, something different. And yeah, it's great to know that, we hit a goalpost or didn't hit a, it's great to know we hit a goalpost without a helmet head first. It's great to know we reached a mile marker. And at the same time, what happens between the mile markers, what I've found, and I think crew, you'll agree, the richness in life is found between the mile markers. And so do either of you badass lady bosses have something to cheers to today? Yep, Melinda. Okay. Go ahead, unmute yourself.
Hi, good evening. How are you doing?
Great.
Same here. I have a big cheers for my personal, professional growth and development. I have a recent, just this week, a couple of days ago, have recently have a leadership promotion. I have a leadership promotion. So this is going to give me the opportunity to network with more individuals, to grow my business, to grow myself professionally and personally, and it will take my business to the next level. So I'm super excited for this new opportunity that I have as an entrepreneur. So, yes.
What? Cheers.
Cheers.
I love it. And yes. I end up cheersing to the camera and then I want to start talking, but it's bad luck to like cheers and then not take a sip. So now what do either of you, I have my Casa Noble tequila. For those of you who watch or listen, you know that's a kind of a go-to. I did recently bring home 11 bottles of tequila from Mexico. I haven't brought myself to open any of those yet though. They're pretty beautiful on top of my on a display I have, but I'm gonna do a tequila tasting one night and then you guys will start seeing them rotate through the show. But do either of you have anything worth mentioning that you're cheersing to? or cheersing with?
Mine is whiskey.
Hey.
Only in the past few years have I become what I call a whiskey girl, and I am tasting different whiskeys to determine what my palate likes and doesn't like.
Okay.
So I'm currently cheersing and toasting to Woodford Reserve
Oh, yeah.
whiskey. So it's great. And after I'm finished that bottle, then I'll move on to another one and see what else I like.
Love it. Love it. All right, awesome. How about you, Charity? Anything, or just is that water?
Well, right now it's water, but I'm wishing it was Maker's Mark. That's my go-to.
There we go.
Maker's Mark is good.
Yes.
There we go. 2 BAs right there. Love it. And then I got my tequila. All right. Well, hey, for those of you that are watching, that are listening, I hope you're laughing with us. I hope you're cheering with us. And crew, let's just right now cheers everyone who is on their journey. We salute you. You're the badass. You're the one making it happen. So cheers.
Cheers.
All right. So today's episode, we are getting into, it's going to be all, for the most part, Ask Michael Anthony. And this is, as far as I have the Kick-Ass Crew, which you can go to kickasscrew.com to learn more about that. I have the Kick-Ass Crew, and as part of the crew, we'll have coaching and private mentorship sessions where questions get asked, and from time to time, just like to mix it up and share that a little bit with all of you, because just maybe it's just not a season where maybe you like the idea of the Kick-Ass Crew, but it's not your season for it. That's fine. Maybe you are in another country and you don't want to be up at 2 a.m. or something like that. Shout out. It's been maybe a month or two since I've shouted out to those of you over in Europe and Pacific Asia. I see y'all watching. I see y'all downloading, sharing, and I appreciate that. It means a lot to me to see people share this show, because that means it's delivering value and impacting others. And so anyways, for this episode, thought, you know what? Let's bring on some of the crew and let's ask some questions. And so with that, as far as do either of you want to go first? I think maybe Charity. Okay. Yep. So go ahead and ask your question here. And for those of you that, if you're watching or listening, you know what? Actually, drop in the comments. Drop a question if you got one. I'll do my best to see it, remember it, get it into an episode. Something along those lines. All right, so go ahead, Charity.
Okay, so how do you determine how much profit to take from your business each month?
That's a loaded question. That's a very much a loaded question. So, okay, for context, let's through context go through the lens of, well, you know what? No, I was about to say how early on in your business you are, and there is something to be said about that. That said, it really doesn't fucking matter, because it's the same. My knee-jerk response is the same for all of it. Okay, so let's start assuming you're an early entrepreneur, and so an early entrepreneur is, to me, I don't know that it's so much time-wise in the business as it is getting the results desired. And I mean, truth be told, I was an early entrepreneur for like a decade. What I would define as an early entrepreneur for a decade. Now, how do I know how do I know how much profit to take from my business on a monthly basis? The first question I would ask to that question is, how much money, like, are you getting enough revenue from your business right now to sustain you on the level you desire without harming the business? And depending on for those of you, there's different business models, different business types. Some now what I'll say is my mindset, Charity, is I'm a bootstrapping entrepreneur. Okay. I don't like taking out debt. I don't like having to answer to someone else for my actions. And a lot of that has to do, like, the main reason I became an entrepreneur was for freedom. It was for me to find freedom in my life, in the decision making. I did not want to have to answer to anyone. And so that's my guiding North Star. So that's the mindset this is going to answer through. And if for those of you watching and listening, or Charity, Melinda, if you have a different guiding North Star, then your answer is going to look a little different. And that can be that isn't as sexy in today's, like, I want a black and white, always accurate answer. The reality is entrepreneurship is messy. In theory, entrepreneurship's black and white until people get involved. And so I'd love to see a business where people aren't involved. If there is one, it's called broke and bankruptcy, because all the profits are from people. And so and really from adding value to people. And so for my mindset as a bootstrapping entrepreneur, that does not, I view my business's death equals me going back to modern day slavery, which is working for someone else. Now, I've done episodes talking about, like a couple months back, of the power of being a number two and things like that. And I'm not against, I have employees, I have people that work, on my team. I'm not against being an employee. I'm against entrepreneurs being an employee and living in fear, playing small, not delivering the value this world has, or not delivering the value you have to give to this world. That's what I'm against. And there's a lot of unsatisfied people in 9-to-5 jobs or 5-to-9 jobs, working at 2 a.m. or at 2 p.m, that the reason they're miserable is because they haven't stepped out and taken ownership over their life and over their finances. And I'm rabbit trailing for a quick second here, but they're allowing a fancy car. They're allowing their mortgage is oversized for their season of life. They're allowing debt to keep them from living the destiny that's inside their soul. And so when I hear that question of how much profit, or how do I know how much profit to take from my business on a monthly basis, to me, I seize up inside a little bit on a warning, like kind of, warning Will Robertson, danger, danger. Because I've always approached the profit side of my business from rather than saying what's the most I can take, because that's what I'm hearing is what's the most I can take. I take a different approach. Instead of saying what's the most I can take from my business, I ask myself, what's the most I can reinvest in my business? And that, it seems small, yet there's a huge difference. And I understand there are some people out there that go bullshit to that. My business is here to serve me. And I'll say, I agree. My business is here to serve me. I want to make sure I have a healthy business.
Hey guys, Michael Anthony here, and I have a question for you. Are you out of work or unhappy with your career? Are you tired of your boss giving you crappy raises? How about not being able to provide the life you want for you or your loved ones? Do you earn great money, but you're just tired of being someone else's bitch? If so, I invite you to visit workwithsymmetry.com/change to learn about the career that forever transformed the trajectory of my life. And it could change yours too. Like I said, this career isn't for everyone. But if you're unhappy where you're at, I encourage you to go to workwithsymmetry.com/change and take control of your life.
A part of me wants to say 200 years ago, or 100 years ago, the blacksmith, who was an entrepreneur, didn't ask these questions of what's the most I can take from my business. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I don't know. I think today, the reason a lot of us show up on day one and demand our business serve us is because of what we've been and demand our business. Let me clarify. We show up on day one of entrepreneurship and then they get depressed on day 3 because our business isn't delivering us enough money for a yacht and a boat. Notice I said yacht and boat because they're different. A boat's what you get for your yacht. And then a private jet, a Bentley or a Tesla, if you're Michael Anthony, and all these different blings, or let's just say we get depressed because we don't have our business isn't generating enough profit to pay our light bills. Like let's just get real, early on, paying our light bills, or some debts are stacking up because of dumb shit we did in our past. Well, a business is like a life. And when a baby comes into this world, it's small, it's infantile. For us to go to that baby, hey, get dressed, put on your shorts, lace up your shoes, we're going to play basketball for an hour. The baby's not going to do that. Now, a business doesn't have to take as long to grow and quote unquote mature as a human. It can sometimes, but that's because of the leader, or it's because of the industry and not really being honest about the industry that you're in. I had one of those examples years ago where it was a race to the bottom, and I was like, why the hell aren't I getting profits? Well, it's because the entire industry was becoming commoditized and all the profit was getting sucked out of it. And, so I was frustrated with that. Part of why I'm in the financial services now. Totally different, industry. So how do I know how much profit to pull from my business? Well, what's the purpose of your business? I have taken the approach of, for having a healthy business, I'll take a side job to be able to reinvest back in my business so that I'm living off of something else. I've had schedules in my life where I mean, crazy schedules, to where I literally have in 6 hours budgeted time to sleep consistently. If your schedule's less than that, you gotta figure something else out. With exception to maybe 3 to 5% of the population that can survive on less than 6 hours. But it's gonna fuck with you if you're just burning it sustained over more than like a 3-month period. So Charity, I just ask, rather than how much, I say how little. And the reason, now there reaches a point in every business reaches a point where there becomes a diminishing ROI. And what do I mean by that? Well, first off, ROI, if you're newer to business, it's return on investment. It's saying, when I put $1 in, which really, as a business owner, viewing your business as an investment rather than a piggy bank is crucial. It's critical to the well-being and health of your long-term financial success. So I view my business as an investment, and I go, what does this need to be healthy? Because in my mind, every business I start is a future Tesla. It's a future Apple. And it may not in the sense of, I'm not going to be upset if I'm not a billionaire. Like, honestly, I really don't give a shit about being a billionaire. I'm just saying that because both Apple and Tesla are billion-dollar companies. What I liken it to is both of their founders early on. What were their mindsets? You have Elon Musk, who had started PayPal, one of the co-founders of PayPal, cashed out, I want to say he had $200 million. $200 million. And he put all of it back into 2 companies, Tesla and SpaceX. And he was sleeping on couches, living with friends. He didn't have a I've arrived mindset. He had a, hey, I'm here, make this happen. Now, I'm sure, well, actually, I want to say he paid himself $1 a year early on as well. Elon did. And Steve Jobs started in a garage. Just the mindset wasn't, let me, in our society, we have this breaking of reality of, for me to be a successful business owner means I got bling overnight. And that's just not the fucking reality. 99% of the time, and overnight, it's never percent of the time. I'm not saying it has to be long, but what I'm saying is, if we ever, so Charity, if you're ever pulling out money that is causing, let me rephrase this. This is a really good question, and I hope this is adding value. If I view a business as a living, breathing organism. I view it as like one of my children. It's not something I see. It doesn't have a face to it, but I talk with it. I relate to it. There's an energy around a business. And so it's something that exists. And so from that standpoint, money is also an energy. And so if I am ever doing anything that causes harm or potential harm to my business, it's going to show up later in my life. And if there's not enough profit, it's either, depending on the business model, if there's not enough profit for me to live off of, either number one, let me go get a side hustle to grow and sustain. And that would be an example of a guy that I met while I was in Mexico touring distilleries, where he's a part owner in a tequila brand, and he has all these other jobs because he's leveling up his life in other ways by being an entrepreneur. But it's a slow grow, and they're intentionally doing things. But he's not trying to pull money from that right now because he's building something bigger. Now, if it's something where you're able to be self-employed and building a business, then it's hustle. Your side hustle is just, if it's sales, go and fucking sell more and sell more and sell more to provide for you. And then put the 100% of everything else back in the business. And the more you can put in the business, the faster it's going to grow. You'll be sloppy with money. It only takes, blowing $1,000 or $10,000 or $50,000 one time on a poor business decision. That's what's called the school of hard knocks, where you start learning, oh shit. All right. I had this money. I thought this was going to happen. All right. Let me view things differently. Let me hold things differently. With that. So that would be what I would say to that. Does that help answer?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I took lots of notes. Huge.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I like it because there's no actual number assigned to it. You didn't say this much or that much or put a percentage to it. It's really just about, what I want my business to look like.
Yeah. And that's at the end of the day. Look, I could give you a percentage. What I've found is in the real world, of this type of entrepreneurship, I'm not talking like Mark Cuban, different, big venture capital, I'm talking about bootstrapping business startups. I just go, how fast do you want your business to grow? What are you willing to sacrifice to get there, in the short term, whether that's 6 months, 2 weeks, or 3 years, or 5 years, whatever. And then there comes a point where as you reinvest back in your business, you'll start to realize you reach a lid to where you go, okay, whether I'm putting $10,000 or $50,000 in, I'm not getting exponentially more ROI. And it's at that point that you start harvesting. And for me, then I look at it as, where else can I put it? Meaning, where else can I invest? What other businesses can I start up? How can I diversify my money at that point? And it with our primary financial service business, it probably took about 2.5 years, 3 years of, once I had this mindset shift of where we were just and I say dumping, but reinvesting everything back in month after month. Instead of investing in someone else's company, I was investing in mine and building my future. And all of a sudden I went, whoa, okay, we just put some heavier investments in and we're not getting the return. Okay, so here's, based on where our business is right now, here's the sweet spot. And this extra money every month, let me go research and find what to do with it. Because I didn't want, even though that whole Elon Musk mentality and Steve Jobs mentality of, I didn't want to go put it into a car or put it into, maybe real estate isn't a bad example, but a car depreciates. I didn't want to go on a trip with it. I wanted to put it in and double down and double down and, keep doubling down until I'm able to live. My lifestyle is several levels lower than what it could be if I was, maxed out on debt and had loans on everything and all that sort of stuff. And I was viewing life through payments rather than ownership with that. So thank you for asking that. All right, Melinda. Woo! Shit, do either of you have any commentary on that right here before? Because I just did a fuck ton of talking.
Oh, that was fantastic. That was fantastic. Actually, I feel like that leads right into my question as far as investment and how you want to invest back into your business in order to allow it to propel you to the next level that you really want to be. So I think you answered her question very well. And actually, that was some questions that she had that I didn't realize I had, and some of the stuff that you said. So that was great. That was great stuff. That was great stuff. What my thought is just kind of taking that just branching off of that just a little bit, but still on the same side of the coin is I am an entrepreneur who is in the process of building my business. I have previous experience with a JOB manager in hiring individuals to work for a company that I didn't own. Okay. Now I'm in a position where I am an entrepreneur and I own my own business. I'm in the process of hiring entrepreneurs, whether they be brand new or already stable, sufficient, independent entrepreneurs, as to enable them to build their life and build their business at the same time as I am building mine. Okay. So my thought process is, how do you change your mindset from interviewing these entrepreneurs, an entrepreneur to build their business and to take your business to the next level, versus interviewing a staff member for a JOB? So I'm trying to transition my mindset from interviewing people for that to interviewing people for a business and to level up their own business.
Awesome. Okay. Now, I'm only going to say this real quick because you're in the crew and I bust people's chops all the time. You said you're trying.
I'm trying. I am.
Are you trying? Because what's trying?
I am in the process.
In advance.
I am in the process. Okay. This is what I'm doing.
Yes. All right. Okay. So that's really, really great question there, Melinda. And what I would say to that is, so first off, it sounds like you're with your business, it's now it's not just to clarify, it's not like a multi-level type thing, right? It's more like a franchise,
correct,
and bootstrapping, like
correct,
bootstrapping type situation. Okay,
correct. It's not multi-level.
Okay. So from that standpoint, what I'm going to say first off is that when you find people to interview, the majority, and when I say majority, I'm going to say over 99% of the individuals that you will come in contact with for like interviewing or talking to them about your business, they're going to not be, or they're going to not have the mindset that you're looking for. And I'm going to say that from a standpoint of, now my assumption is, and correct me on this, but you're probably looking, like you're posting on job boards, network events, that sort of thing, right? And
Yes, that's correct.
okay. And so from that standpoint, those are for employees. Simple as that. Like, that is for an employee. And so I'm not saying you're not going to find people there. What I'm on there. Yeah, I'm not saying you're not going to find people on there that will work. What I'm going to say is there's going to be some frustration for you. And you're not the issue. It's systemic of our culture. And the fact that for an entrepreneur, schools fuck them up. Schools take the entree out of the entrepreneur. They take the main course out. And then entrepreneurs to spend some time getting their heart back. And I want to say real quick as a side note that I fucking love teachers. I am really disheartened right now with the culmination of teaching has been a undervalued, and I'm sidetracking here, Melinda, but I'm going to get back to this. But this is something that's been in my heart that I just want to say. If you're a teacher out there listening, I want you to hear how important what you do is. And when I rail against school, when I rail against education, I'm not railing against you. You are a fucking change maker. Every teacher who shows up giving heart and passion and molding and shaping and caring. The system is what's fucked. You're not. And it breaks my heart. Just today, I read an article talking about how, because of all the COVID shit and just the fucking pressures and unrealistic pressures being put on teachers right now, through systems and also their power being taken from them to actually enforce and to teach and that sort of stuff. They're just saying, fuck it, it's not worth it. And they're walking away. Or a teacher rather would say, screw it. they wouldn't drop the F-bomb in class. And so I want to say sincerely from my heart to yours, thank you. Every teacher out there giving a shit, making a difference, shaping our future. And I'm truly concerned because when teachers go away, society falls apart. And I'm hopeful. I'm not doom and gloom. I'm hopeful that those that have a desire to serve and nurture our next generation will find ways to do it, even with the system being bullshit and broken. Now, okay, back to you, Melinda, talking about how to handle interviewing someone from an entrepreneurial mindset versus having been a manager and hiring people to work a job. So depending on so what I'm going to say is, in general, you're going to have to lead and do job postings as if it's a job, because there's so much snakeskin oil out there, and a lot of stuff just getting, it would just get flagged, and do I want to get into multi-levels right now? I just said it out loud. I'm not against multi-levels. I am against some companies out there that, because in my opinion, the entire world is a multi-level. Those that rail against multi-levels, you're on a level somewhere, and the president, the CEO at the top is making the most money, and then you have regional managers, and then you have district managers, and then you have store managers, or office managers, and then you have department managers, and then you have salespeople, and you have the admin staff. And as you go up or down on that scale, your pay goes up or down, your ownership goes up or down, and all of that. And so for me to clarify, and I'm, I'm not rabbit trailing. I feel like I'm answering this in multiple different facets, because it's a broad question that you asked, a specific one, but it can be viewed broadly. And I want to bring clarity for those watching and listening. And so to me, I don't have any issues with multi-level. What I have issues with are bait and switch, promising the moon when there's not a way to even get to the upper atmosphere. And because of that, so much of that going on out there in this world, when there is a legitimate business opportunity for somebody to start something and grow it from nothing to something, much like I've experienced in my life, I am where I am today because of an opportunity like that. And so from that standpoint, Melinda, you're going to have to almost not Jedi mind people, but you're going to have to approach it as advertising, a franchise, a business startup, maybe, or depending on the job boards, is there sales involved? I'm assuming there's sales involved, to where, okay, there's sales involved. So a sales position, that sort of thing, and maybe just leadership opportunity for growth or leadership advancement. And then when you talk to them, when you're talking to them, it's a different mentality. It's and really, people are, I don't think people are not, there is nowhere to go. No. Well, there's nowhere to go to interview for a business ownership. All there is how do you interview for a job? And that stuff is bullshit. It's bullshit. Okay. So when you're on the phone, or if you're doing Zoom, or if it's, maybe it's in person, but nowadays, especially with COVID, it's phone and Zoom. And when you're talking with them, if I'm in your shoes, I'm setting clear expectations and what I'm doing is I'm creating a juxtaposition between, hey, as an employee, here's what works. In this business, here's what works. And if you attempt to apply some of this employee brain over here as a business owner, you're going to be fucked. And seeing how they respond to it, seeing what their take is when you push away on things. Now, also, is there, for what you're hiring for, is there any salary? Is there any construct of a 9-to-5 job?
No,
No.
there's not. It's strict commissions.
Okay. So then from that standpoint, you're free to have those real world conversations with them on the front end of, hey, so basically what I'm hearing, they're starting as a self-employed individual with an opportunity to grow a business. So from that standpoint, if I'm if I'm in your shoes and I'm talking to them, I'm being direct with them. And I'm also gonna bring up challenges, perhaps challenges that maybe even you faced in your career shift. Of, hey, this worked here. I used to lead teams, and here's what I used to be able to hold people accountable or put pressure on them because I could fire them and they'd lose their job. Here, I'm not able to fire you. You fire yourself by not working, by not getting a paycheck. And so what's your response to that? What's your have you ever been 100% commission? Have you been through a downturn in sales, a slump? And if so, how'd you get out of it? Have you ever owned a business before? Why did it fail? If so, why? What have you learned from that? Do you have a business right now? Okay, why are we on the phone? What is that business? What need is that business not meeting for you? And then I've taken a minute to get here. I would say the golden answer to your question of how do I hire an entrepreneur is you don't hire an entrepreneur, you lead entrepreneurs. And that comes back to, in order for an entrepreneur to be led, you have to be a leader on a higher level. And so that comes back to why I am such a proponent for personal development and personal growth. That's why I believe the IRS Tax Code allows business owners to deduct what they, invest in themselves to grow their skills and abilities. The government's smart enough to understand, Melinda, that when we grow ourselves, our leadership potential elevates. And as a result, our business will elevate. And an elevated business means more tax collection down the road. And so, they want us to grow. They want us. Now, what that does is, well, and let me ask, did I answer, because I'm about to go down another rabbit trail for a second here. Did I answer that enough for you, or is there something you want to throw back at me? And I would welcome that for me to clarify some more.
No, I think that's great. I think that's great. I think just the one that my biggest takeaway from what you just said is leadership. We're not hiring an entrepreneur, we're leading them.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest takeaways. That was great. Thank you.
Okay. Absolutely. All right. So now back to what am I doing? Sorry guys, for those of you watching. All right. Oh my goodness. I'm recording, but I am screwing up the view. Oh, sweet Jesus. All right, I'll just do this. I don't know. Hopefully it's recording well. Where I was going is with the IRS tax code and investing in ourselves. And it's like, so here's another thing, and this actually goes back to a little bit of what Charity asked about knowing how much to pull out of our business. And I said, well, how much can I put in? Well, you are your business. You are your business as well. Your business will never outgrow you, because your business is the result of your thoughts, which lead to your actions, which lead to your results. And so we, as W-2 employees, are taught, hey, how much did I earn? Well, what's my tax? What I earn and what my tax, what I get on my W-2 are synonymous, right? As an entrepreneur, the opposite is true. The opposite is true. And the lower the number, the better, because it's a sign you're reinvesting. So, let's say you are earning, and this is where, whether someone's earning 50,000 or, 5 million, it's all relative. But let's say you're an entrepreneur and you're earning, 300,000 a year. I don't, they're 200,000 a year or 500,000 a year. It doesn't really fucking matter. But let's say you, if you're earning 300,000 a year and you're investing in your personal growth and development through maybe some high level coaching, and some like the Kick-Ass Crew, just various products, services, events, therapy, one-on-one coaching, all this sort of stuff, you're investing $50,000 or $70,000 a year. Well, if you were earning 300,000 and you have $50,000 of deductions, well, now it's going to show you earn 250. And let's say you choose to start up some more programs in your business and reinvest back in, and that's maybe 100,000. That would have been profit. You could have gone and bought a car with it, or bought a house with it, and hey, let's say you also maybe took 100,000 and bought a house with it, that rental property. All these things lower what the tax person says your revenue, your earned income is, which then can be deflating with an employee mindset. But from a business standpoint, it's empowering, because the lower that number, the lower taxes you pay. And I'm not against paying taxes. What I am again, what I do believe though, is that if it comes down to me investing my money and doing good, or the government investing that same dollar, aside from like roads, like basic infrastructure, and teachers, schools, things of that nature, which you heard my issues with that earlier, on the system, not the teachers. But aside from those things, I'm gonna outperform. I'm gonna outperform 10 out of 10 times the government. So the lower the tax bill, the more I have to reinvest in my business, to start new businesses, to hire employees, to add value to society. So it's not that I'm like this selfish, greedy asshole, business owner that gets portrayed out there. What it is, tax code is built to grow and stimulate the economy. And so as a business owner, take advantage of that. That was a bonus. Nobody asked that question, but that's what I got to say. So, all right, Melinda, we're going to wrap this up. Any closing thoughts or, just, anything you want to say?
Actually, I'm still absorbing everything you just
Okay.
said.
Awesome.
To be told,
Well-
but no, that was fantastic. That's great. That's great. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, for those of you watching and listening, I really do genuinely desire that this added value to you. If something I said did resonate with you, please drop a comment, and more importantly, help get the word out. Forward this to a couple friends, the YouTube channel, or on Spotify or Apple, or however you listen to this. It's available everywhere: Amazon, Google, Stitcher, Pandora, everywhere you can listen to it. It's available pretty much. On YouTube, subscribe to my YouTube channel. We have new content out daily on that. If you're interested in the Kick-Ass Crew, visit kickasscrew.com. And regardless, guys, you keep living your life to the fullest. Peace.
That's a wrap. Congrats on investing in yourself with the Contract CFO Show, hosted by Michael Anthony. If you've enjoyed today's show, please leave a comment and tell a friend to check it out on YouTube or however they get their podcast on. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Michael Anthony TV. Visit michaelanthonytv.com to find show notes and past episodes. Plus, you can join the conversation by submitting questions and topics you want to hear. And remember, tomorrow can be better than today. The choice is yours. P.S. Don't be a dumbass. Remember, this is a conversation and not meant to be personal or legal advice.